Israel's election is less than 2 weeks away, but for Israeli ambassadors and diplomats and their families stationed around the world, voting is already taking place tonight. Unlike in the U.S., where mail-in voting and absentee ballots are permitted and in some cases encouraged by state officials, Israeli law does not allow citizens to vote from abroad. If you're not in Israel on Election Day, you cannot vote. The only exception is for Israeli diplomats. So for the next 2 days, about 4,000 Israelis stationed abroad will be voting. There are over 100 embassies and missions around the world where ballots will be accepted. There will be 4 new places where diplomats can cast their votes: Morocco, Bahrain, and 2 different places in the UAE, Dubai and Abu Dhabi. Israel established diplomatic relations with these countries since the last election a year ago, back in March 2020. Earlier today, I spoke with Israel's ambassador to New Zealand, who, by virtue of the time zone, was the first Israeli diplomat to cast his ballot this time. And now I am with Ambassador Ron Yaakobi, the Israeli ambassador to New Zealand, to talk about casting the first vote in this 4th Israeli election in 2 years. Ambassador, thank you so much for being with me. Can I ask you, are you proud, sir, of voting again? Is this a source of pride for you to vote in a democracy, or is it a bit of disappointment that you have to do it again for the 2nd time in a year?
First and foremost, I'm proud of the state of Israel being able to carry out voting process quite swiftly for 4,000 voters in 99 embassies around the world. This time I'm being the first, but this time in the Emirates, in Morocco, in places we wouldn't have imagined maybe months ago that we would be voting from. So we're really proud. We are a tiny embassy, the furthest from Israel, one of the smallest, and we have only 9 voters. Definitely we are proud of being able to do it swiftly and quite, I think, admirably to organize. May I remind everybody that out of our 9 voters, 3 are the voting committee.
A lot of Israelis, as you know, they feel that the fact that we have 4 elections in 2 years, it's not a sign of a healthy democracy, that people like you and millions of others, they have to keep voting every few months. It's not a good thing. What do you feel?
Well, it was Albert Einstein who said you can't expect putting the same ingredients and getting every time different results. It's up to the ingredients, and everybody, as you know, is behind the curtain with his own conscience.
You're in New Zealand, which has a long diplomatic history with Israel. But this is, as you mentioned, the first time that diplomats stationed in the UAE, in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, and Morocco and Bahrain, they're going to be voting from those countries.
Absolutely.
How does that make you feel knowing it's happening?
Well, a bit about myself. I joined the foreign ministry in '94, a year after the Oslo Accords. As a student, the Oslo Accords and the chance of peace in the Middle East struck a chord within me and made me do this step 27 years ago. I'm happy, I'm delighted it happens, and it happens while I'm still in the Foreign Service, and it happens so surprisingly, but still in a manner that I hope more and more countries will join the peace train, so we can vote in more and more of our Arab neighbors and in Africa and other nations in the next voting, hopefully in 4 years.
Yeah, Ambassador, you just mentioned it. I know you are proud to vote, but you must hope this is the last time for a while you have to do this.
Yeah, it's nice to be the first, but I think we all owe ourselves and deserve some peace on that front. We have many fronts with COVID and other issues to fight.
All right, Ambassador, thank you so much joining us from New Zealand. I know you're liking life there. Really great, gorgeous country. I appreciate your service.
Absolutely. And they've kept themselves well, and I hope there in Israel, everybody will keep themselves well as well.
Only health and safety for us all. Ambassador, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Shalom, kia ora. Goodbye.